In a previous video, I tested the Sealight Laxmas L2 LED headlight from Sunset Auto, and I stated that it was a contender for the best budget LED light in 2022, at least for the lights I tested so far. So how does another Sealight light, this Xenower X2, compare to the Laxmas L2? Well, we're going to find out by putting them head to head. Hello everyone and welcome to Car Light Reviews. If you've never been here before, I perform consistent automotive light tests to help you make the best purchase decision and save you money. This is the Sealight Xenower X2, a light that I included in my 10-way shootout on my other channel in Jason's Garage a couple of years ago, and I'll put a link to that video in the description of this one if you want to check it out. Now, I know that a lot of you have been wanting me to test this one as a follow-up to the Sealight Laxmas L2 that I also tested just a few videos ago on this channel. And once again, I'll put a link to this video in the description. So, here we go. Like my other LED headlight tests, I'm going to do an introduction and unboxing, go over the published specifications, and cover some of the features. Then I'm going to test the brightness and light pattern for both projector and reflector housings to see how it performs. So basically, I'll be testing the Xenower, the exact same test methods and environment that I did with the Laxmas here, which is the same test I perform on all of my other LED headlight tests. Consistency is the key here. I do this so the data that I collect from each light can be accurately compared to others. And so I can tell you if the published specifications are accurate or they have a marketing angle to them. In fact, if you haven't seen it yet, this is how I test. For projector testing, I made a test rig using a 2017 Toyota Camry H11 headlight projector. And for reflector testing, I use an H11 headlight from a 2018 Ford F-150. I use these specifically because they are among the best-selling vehicles in America for over 20 years and are the most common on the road. I'll power the lights using a benchtop power supply, and I'll position the light's hot spot onto a lux meter that is 20 feet away, mounted on my garage door. I'll record the initial brightness and then again after 27 minutes to document how well the light manages heat. I use 27 minutes because that's the average commute time in the United States. My tests aren't for lux number accuracy, but for comparison to a stock H11 halogen bulb, which measures 725 projected lux and 910 reflected lux using my test method. Different tests in different environments will give you different results. So if you want to do the same tests of your own, I list all of the equipment I use in the description of this video. I'll include some important information in the description of this video about aiming headlights, how to ensure you've picked the right headlight for your application, and the legality of replacing halogen headlight bulbs with LEDs like this one. Be sure to have a look. So now, let's get to the unboxing and specs of the Sealight Xenower. Instruction manual, very thorough, just like all of the other Sealight lights. Zip ties and double-sided tape for the external drivers. And the lights themselves. And here it is. Now, let's talk about the published specifications. I believe they've changed since the last test I did. I don't know if that's just marketing or if that's actual, they did some changes to the light itself, but I'll tell you what it currently is according to my research. 50 watts each, at least according to what I found, but I think that may be per pair. We're going to find out. 10,000 lumens, 6,000 K color temperature, CSP chip, IP rating of 68, the average hour rating of 50,000. I don't think it has an adjustable collar. I got to check into that, but so I'm just going to say no, I don't believe it does. It does have a fan for heat management and an external driver. Warranty is 1 year, and the price at the time of this video before any discounts, which there typically are from what I've seen, $59.99. Now, when I tested the Xenower on my other channel using slightly different test methods and equipment, it did pretty well. I think it's a very well-balanced light in terms of light output and heat management. Overall, I think Sealight makes pretty good lights for the money, and this shows the quality that I would expect from Sealight. One thing I do notice is it does have a pretty shallow fan for tight areas, such if you have a shallow dust cap, and it does also have a pretty compact driver if you need that sort of space in your vehicle. One thing I have said before, and I'll say it again, I do like the Sealight logo right here on the covering of the fan. I really like that touch. These things like these, they don't mean much to everybody, especially since it's mostly hidden when it's installed. But it does score points with me because it lets me know that they put some thought into it. So again, you want to know how it compares to the Laxmas L2 here on the left. Now it is my time to do my test and see how it does. Now, before I get to my testing, I'd like to mention that it takes me many hours to make each LED review video like the one you're watching right now. From setting up the test, to recording the output, to compiling the data, to editing the video, to answering the great questions that you all post in the comments. Now, this is in addition to the cost of the product and the equipment that I use to test it. If you find my videos have saved you money, or at least help you make a better purchase decision so you can enjoy your car more, please help me make more of them. Just visit my Patreon page and learn how you can support this channel and help me make more videos for it. Now, you can support my work for as little as $1 a month, just $1 a month. Click the link below for more details. And I'd also like to give a very special word of thanks to my latest Patreon supporter, Rico Suave. Rico, thank you for supporting Carlight Reviews. I promised him I'd say it that way. Now, let's see how the Sealight Xenower did, and afterward, I'll talk about how it compares to the Laxmas L2. Starting with the projector, the Xenower is 954 lux, 229 over the halogen 725 lux. And after 27 minutes, the average commute time in the United States, it retains 88% of that light output, making it 842 lux, or 117 over halogen. And looking at the projector light pattern compared to stock, it looks pretty good. It fills in the area that gets weak when the light gets too bright for the projector housing that I use right here. Overall, the cutoff is pretty even. There's some slight fuzziness here, but that's not uncommon. It does have a higher than halogen cutoff line compared to the hotspot, so it may not project quite as far, depending on the housing. Now, let's have a look at the reflector. The reflector comes in at 1,864, or 954 over the halogen 910 lux. And after 27 minutes of runtime, keeping that 88% light output, it is reduced to 1,645 lux, still 735 over halogen. And looking at the reflector light pattern compared to stock, I do think that this one does better in a projector than a reflector. I've got some concerns over in this area here, and it also seems to get slightly weak right here. So now let's talk comparison between these two lights. If you take a look at the spreadsheet that you can download that has all of the data from all of my tests so far, you're going to see something really interesting. For the published specifications, if the sources that I pulled for these are accurate, they're almost exactly the same. The published lumens, color temperature, chip, lifespan, warranty, all the same. In fact, if you compare the Amazon listings that are current as of the making of this video, this is what you'll see. So now let's look at the output comparison. For the projector, I've got the Laxmas on the top of the screen and the Xenower on the bottom of the screen. The Laxmas 963 or 238 over halogen, and again, you can see this test by seeing my other videos. The Xenower on the bottom 954 or 229 over halogen. So the previously tested Laxmas on top is 9 lux brighter than the Xenower on the bottom. According to my test, this is less than 1%, which is less than the variance of me moving my testing rig just a fraction of an inch on my workbench. And the projector after 27 minutes, the Laxmas 835 at 87% retention, which is 110 over halogen, and the Xenower on the bottom, 842 lux, which is 88% retention, 117 over halogen. So now the Xenower on the bottom is 7 lux higher after 27 minutes in the projector because of that slightly better light retention over time percentage. Now these differences are negligible. They're really so small that other on paper, it doesn't really matter much, if at all, in real world usage. And when you look at the light outputs, you can see a difference in the lower middle area here. It is fuller with the Xenower on the bottom of the screen. However, you can see the difference between the two in the terms of the distance between the cutoff and the hotspot. Lower is typically thought of as better, which does give the Laxmas an edge over the Xenower. So now let's take a look at the reflector comparison. Once again, the Laxmas is on the top of the screen. That comes in at 1,985 or 1,075 over halogen. And once again, I've got the Xenower on the bottom half. As mentioned before, that comes in at 1,864 or 954 lux over halogen. So the previously tested Laxmas is 121 lux brighter than the Xenower according to my tests, about 6% difference. Again, this is very, very minimal, if even noticeable to the human eye in real-world usage. And the reflector after 27 minutes, the Laxmas 1,721 with its 87% retention, that's 811 over halogen. And the Xenower 1,645, 88% retention, as mentioned, 735 over halogen. So the previously tested Laxmas is still 76 lux brighter than the Xenower in the reflector test. Once again, the difference between the two is not likely noticeable when you're actually driving. Again, when you look at the light outputs, you can see some noticeable differences. The Laxmas does have a better top cutoff, and the lower left area is a bit fuller than the Xenower. You can also see the difference between the two in terms of the cutoff distance from the hot spot here as well in the reflector comparison. Once again, the Laxmas seems to have an edge in the light output pattern. I did see some slight differences in wattage. The Laxmas here on the left tested at 17.9, and the Xenower here on the right measured in at 24.8. I do think that the Xenower published specifications is a misprint. I think it should be 50 watts per pair, not each. That would be more in line with my test results. So let's talk about temperature. The Laxmas on the left, the main unit here, is 117 degrees Fahrenheit after 27 minutes, and the driver is 119 degrees Fahrenheit after 27 minutes. The Xenower here on the right, the main is 113 degrees Fahrenheit after 27 minutes, and the driver is 123 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's pretty close. It seems that the Xenower here on the right runs slightly cooler than the Laxmas here on the left, which could contribute to that 1% edge that the Xenower has over the Laxmas in light reduction over time. Again, do you think you'd even notice this? The Laxmas driver does run cooler than the Xenower, but not by much. And finally, let's talk about the cost differences. Now, these are list prices before any discounts. The Laxmas comes in at $39.99 as of the time that I'm making this video, and the Xenower comes in at $59.99. Again, list prices before any discounts. So you've got a $20 difference between the two. Again, list prices. Other than that, very, very little difference in almost every way in terms of light output, light retention over time, and temperature. As you saw, there's a difference of light output patterns, likely due to the different designs where the emitters are mounted. I said in my previous video that the Laxmas here was definitely a contender for the best budget LED headlight I've tested so far, and I still agree with that. The Xenower is a great light, but is it $20 better than the Laxmas? Well, not according to my test. It really comes down to if you like the looks of the light pattern of one over the other, your budget, and of course, if you agree with my testing methods. As I always say, different tests in different environments will give you different results. But in my test environment, well, they're just awfully similar. Based on what I've learned from my testing and observations, I would still recommend the Laxmas over the Xenower. It costs less, had a similar light output, and according to my test, had a better output pattern. I'd really like to know what you think. Let me know if you agree or disagree along with your thoughts in the comments below. Both are really good lights, no question. They're very well balanced in terms of light output and heat management. Now, links to where you can buy both of these Sealight lights are in the description, as well as that spreadsheet that I mentioned showing all of the data from all of my tests that I upload with every video. And if you have a suggestion on what I should test in the future, please leave a comment and I'll check into it. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope this video helps you to find the right lighting upgrades for your needs so you can enjoy your car more. Keep your headlights aimed, drive safely, responsibly, and respectfully.